we've got some breaking news coming in on the aircraft that is being used by Sheikh Hasina. She's likely already entered Indian airspace, is what our open source intelligence team is reporting right now. Her flight is apparently airborne, has crossed West Bengal, is currently flying somewhere over Jharkhand at this point of time, and may potentially be headed to Delhi or some other part of India. We can rule out, at least for the moment, that Sheikh Hasina is headed to Bengal. Geeta Mohan is with me live, our foreign affairs editor. Geeta, the Bangladeshi Prime Minister, the ex-Prime Minister now, because she's resigned, has entered Indian airspace and is probably headed to Delhi, it looks like.
In a bit from now, we'll be showing the flight radar right here, Shiv, if you can see. This is the red one, AJAX 1431. This is a Bangladeshi Air Force aircraft. So this is what we're tracking, the red aircraft over here. But what's interesting is that from Bangladesh, we were told she was either going to go to Tripura or, in all probability, if she had to fly across to any other country, a stopover would have been Calcutta or Tripura. But this is Dhanbad, which is where the aircraft is. Now, we do not know whether this is the aircraft which is flying Sheikh Hasina out of Bangladesh or not. But the fact that it is in Dhanbad could very well mean that this is a flight that is flying either through India, or the only other possibility would be Delhi. Doesn't seem like Sheikh Hasina and Sheikh Rehana would be landing in Delhi, Shiv. So in all probability, we're looking at a flight that's crossing India over to go wherever the destination is. In all probability, the first initial reports that were coming were that, and this is not the first time. The first time around this happened, Shiv, was when the protests had become really violent. The first time around, there were reports that had come that Sheikh Hasina had left Bangladesh, which was really not correct. It was misinformation. But the news that had come was that she was going to go to London. This time around also, the first and the initial reports were that she's likely to go and land in London, not in India certainly, but then there were reports saying that she could fly to Tripura, to Agartala. That would have been a short-haul flight if it were a small flight, but this certainly is a flight that can fly the long haul. So so we are looking at not Tripura, not Calcutta, but has moved forward. In all probability, Sheikh Hasina is moving towards the destination that was initially reported. Again, Shiv, this is all speculation, in the realm of speculation, because the aircraft right now is over Dhanbad and doesn't seem like it is going to land in New Delhi. So it is flying most probably over India, but Sheikh Hasina certainly is not in the country, is what we're given to understand, is not in Bangladesh anymore. She's left Bangladesh with Sheikh Rehana and in all probability might be headed towards London.
Okay, but that aircraft, the C-130 that we've got on our flight radar track, the aircraft that is believed to be carrying Sheikh Hasina and her sister, is an aircraft that doesn't have a limitless range, so it will have to land somewhere to refuel. It certainly cannot carry Sheikh Hasina all the way from Dhaka to London direct. So is it going to land to refuel somewhere in India? Is Delhi its final destination? Could it be landing somewhere else to refuel before it makes its way to London? We don't know just yet. All of that is speculation because, as you can imagine, owing to the secrecy, owing to the sensitive nature of the departure of Sheikh Hasina from Bangladesh, flight information is being kept top secret, highly privileged. We've used our open source intelligence to find that flight, which is a Bangladesh Air Force C-130 aircraft currently overflying India. Not unusual, military exercises happen between the two countries, but at this point of time, that's the only Bangladeshi military aircraft in Indian airspace, and therefore, it's almost certain that that's the aircraft carrying the fleeing Bangladeshi Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina. Well, while she makes her way to whatever her destination is, this is what Sheikh Hasina's prime ministerial residence in Dhaka currently looks like. I wonder if she's had a chance to get some of these pictures while she's in that aircraft or before she left. But the prime minister's residence in Dhaka has been completely taken over. It's caved in to protesters who are looting, vandalizing, pretty much moving into the prime minister's residence. And like I said, that is the equivalent of 7 Lok Kalyan Marg in Delhi, the Indian Prime Minister's residence, falling to protesters. It's exactly like that in Bangladesh. These are pictures right before Sheikh Hasina actually departed from there. Indrajit Kundu is also live with us. That's an archival picture of the kind of aircraft that Sheikh Hasina is probably in. She first took a Mi-17 helicopter from Dhaka, from her Prime Ministerial residence, to some kind of an airfield, and then likely took off in the type of aircraft that you see on the right-hand side of your screen, a C-130 Hercules transport plane of the Bangladesh Air Force, seeming to suggest, as experts are opining at this time, that Sheikh Hasina basically managed to cut a desperate deal with the Bangladesh military, permitting her to make a safe exit from the country. A safe, even if dishonorable exit from the country in the face of a very, very violent uprising that threatened her physical safety with those huge crowds taking over. I want to bring in India Today's Indrajit Kundu, who is also live with me from Kolkata. Indro, very, very volatile implosion, making this a huge historic crisis for Bangladesh. Right now, everything is in the air, quite literally. Sheikh Hasina is in Indian airspace, likely to land somewhere in India or beyond. We don't know just yet. Obviously, all of this being kept highly, highly classified at this time. But the border between Bangladesh and West Bengal is very, very active right now. Alarm bells are ringing. The BSF has sounded a red alert as well.
Well, absolutely, Shiv. You know, this is unprecedented what we are seeing right now. You know, that image, that visual of, the founder of Bangladesh, Sheikh Mujibur Rahman's statue being vandalized by protesters is something which most of us, not just in Bangladesh or in West Bengal, but most of us in South Asia wouldn't have imagined that we would be seeing this someday. This is unprecedented. This is, of course, historic. Bangladesh has clearly now plunged into chaos. And therefore, the Indian government, the Indian establishment would be very, very keenly observing what is happening on a real-time basis. Sheikh Hasina, long-time friend of India, she earlier, in an instance, she was saved by the Indian establishment. She lost her entire family. And now what we are given to understand is that Sheikh Hasina, along with her elder sister Sheikh Rehana, has flown out of Bangladesh. We don't know their whereabouts. They were given safe passage. We were told that they flew out in a chopper from Gana Bhavan, and then you've showed the visuals, unprecedented visuals of people entering, breaking into Gana Bhavan. I was there just a few months back in January when I was covering the election in Bangladesh. There were so many questions, especially the Western media and the US government questioning, the legitimacy of that election, because it was an opposition-less election. There was no opposition taking part in that election. And there has been, over the past few years, questions about authoritarianism creeping into the Sheikh Hasina government. However, it's geopolitically very, very sensitive. You see, Bangladesh has now become a playground for China as well. And therefore, the Indian establishment was firmly standing behind the Sheikh Hasina administration. At this point in time, Bangladesh has now plunged into chaos. The army chief has taken over. The army has taken over. The army has spoken about a caretaker government. There was a long meeting that was taking place while all these things were unfolding at the army headquarters with various stakeholders, the political parties, Awami League, BNP, having a discussion with the army. And in the days to come, the army will have to, decide. The good thing, of course, is that the army enjoys the people's confidence, because over the past 2 weeks, as we have been following this entire agitation, the protesters had lost complete faith in the administration of Sheikh Hasina and her police. The police were bearing the main brunt of the anger of the protesters. In fact, yesterday we are given to understand 19 policemen have been lynched by protesters. So
Yes.
the police were off the streets of Dhaka today. It was the army which took control of the entire situation. And when people saw the army, they greeted the army, they hugged the army personnel, and everything rests on the army chief, Wakaruzaman, right now, and the president of Bangladesh, as to how they maneuver through this political turmoil and give Bangladesh some kind of a stable governance. Because we are trying to reach out to the High Commission here in Kolkata. You know, it's inaccessible. The government officials here, back there in Dhaka, we try to reach out to the Prime Minister's office in Dhaka. None of them are accessible right now. Everybody has gone incommunicado. So there is a vacuum of governance. And unless the army really, brings in some semblance of governance over the past few hours, we will see some sort of a chaos on the streets of Dhaka. We are told by our reporters on ground is that Awami League activists are facing the brunt of BNP supporters who are out on the streets. So it's chaotic on the ground in Dhaka.
Total chaos on the ground in Dhaka. One of the immediate fallouts of what we're seeing taking place in Bangladesh is likely to be an escalation in violence. Remember, the Bangladesh army chief has appealed for peace. He's appealed for calm, as they get into the business of forming an interim government in Bangladesh with the army's involvement. But the immediate fallout is likely to be a disturbing escalation in violence. Sheikh Hasina has fled, her government has fallen, she's left the country, but her party, the Awami League, continues to be there in Bangladesh. She's abandoned them, she's left, and they could be targets of angry protesters. So the Awami League is likely to see some targeted attacks over the next few hours and days in what is turning out to be a very, very volatile, very dangerous situation in Dhaka. Remember, there have been lynchings. Over 300 people have already died, and therefore the international community is going to be looking at what happens in Bangladesh very, very closely.